Hi, volleyball fans, and welcome back to Volley Talk, the podcast created for volleyball lovers who want to dig deep into what is going on in NCAA and international volleyball. I'm your host, Sarah Pavin. I'm an Olympian, beach volleyball world champion, former Nebraska Cornhusker, and longtime pro, both indoor and on the beach.
And I'm Adam Schultz, former indoor player, international volleyball coach, and the show's resident stat guy.
Playoffs are in full swing. As we said, Men's Champions League playoffs have started up. Things are getting shaken up a little bit in love.
Yep.
And we've got some really big matchups on the NCAA men's side.
So good.
So, yeah, we're all over the place, but we have a couple interesting segments lined up today that we are really looking forward to talking about. So, hopefully, you're excited to listen. Let's get started. You know what's coming. Was your volley fantasy a happening or a highlight?
I'm not even talking about it. My middle scored me no points. My opposite was terrible.
Who are you picking for your bench?
I had a couple middles from Indy. I had Kara Cressy as my bench middle.
Does she even play?
She was kind of rotating through, had a couple good weeks. So I picked one Indy middle, and then I picked her as my backup, assuming one of them would play.
Except they probably have 3 middles or 4 middles.
Yeah, but if you have 3 middles, then
maybe she's not the backup for the one who didn't play.
Anyway, not great. Not great.
I will say mine was a highlight.
Well, I'm happy for you.
I moved up to 60th.
Good for you.
So I climbed a solid 30 spots. I had some players that I've been eyeballing for a few weeks, and for whatever reason, I refused to ever sign them. And then last week I was like, desperate times call for desperate measures. And I signed them and they scored me so many points.
Who were they?
Why? Are you taking notes? Are you going to sign them this week?
I can go look at the app and look at your roster if I want to.
Oh, you can? Grace Loberg.
Oh, she had a good week.
I didn't want to pick her out of principle because she plays for San Diego. But she scored me a ton of points. And Phoebe Awolea scored me a ton of points. Cameron Turner scored me a ton of points. You know what? Top to bottom, it was a pretty good week. I still have some work to do to keep climbing. But we do have a new leader.
That we do.
A shame to see you go, Tallahassee Turtles. Aloha Aces 808, baby, is our new leader. So everybody gang up on them. But there's a new feature that was added that I'm loving.
She's obsessed with it.
The Daily Grid. I'm no good at it, but it's really fun. It's like Wordle and Tic-Tac-Toe for love and MLB.
We both know I'm terrible with players' names, so I'm never going to get these.
So we know that Adam's really struggling. But if you click on the fantasy button, it pops up as like a pop-up or like drop down, but it drops up, And, that made sense though, didn't it?
Everybody will know what you're talking about.
Click on it. And then you basically have to put a player that applies to where the rows and columns intersect, but you can't use the same player more than once, even if it applies.
It's pretty
fun. So you have to be strategic and make sure you know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting better.
You'll get there.
But it's fun anyway. So check it out. And join our league, playvolley.com/volley talk. VOLI.com/volley talk. You can get in on the trash talk happening. I'm wondering if Tallahassee Turtles is going to have something to say to me because I called them out for being second now. They'll probably be in first after this week, but whatever. Everybody keep forgetting to fill out your rosters. Let me keep climbing. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the app. All right. On the NCAA men's side, we had a lot going on.
It was a good week.
So we had a series between number 1 UCLA and number 5 USC. UCLA won both of them in 5 and then in 4. So they are still going strong. They are cruising.
Do you think USC will drop in the rankings or do you think they'll stay?
I think they'll stay.
Yeah, me too.
Well, because even Long Beach State lost to UCLA twice and they're still second.
Yeah, fair.
Number 8 Loyola Chicago beat number 9 Ball State 3 straight. That's very close. But then they turned around and they lost to number 19 Purdue Fort Wayne in 4. So
Not a wash.
they're
Negative.
probably going to drop.
Yeah.
Number 7 Pepperdine and number 3 Hawaii had a series. We watched the first match. Pepperdine won in 4, and then Hawaii returned the favor and won in 4.
That match was unbelievable.
I did
It
not expect
was-
Pepperdine to go into Hawaii and win a match.
No. It was so much fun to watch.
Cole Harkey was really feeling himself. That's all I got to say.
And good for him.
I mean, he played great, but you know, when you're watching, you're like, oh man, this player's really feeling himself. They're like, everyone's watching me. I could totally feel that.
I had a couple thoughts watching that match. I thought Tread struggled to set the right side in the first 2 sets. The right side was not good for Hawaii. And
Kanoa Wade,
yeah,
I've got some thoughts.
but he was unbelievable down the stretch in sets 3 and 4.
Fair, but was anybody else wondering why the coach's son was playing over to Trisky?
He's hurt.
My question stands. Because in the first couple sets, okay, I know Trisky didn't even dress.
Yeah.
Press pause on your comment fingers.
But I was surprised they didn't make. I'm surprised why I didn't make any subs on the left side or the right side. Because Rourke was not good
shocked.
either.
I'm like, I mean, in the first couple sets, I was like, take Wade out.
Yeah.
Why is
He
he
was
still
no
on the
good.
court? Put Finn Carney in.
Yes.
Put somebody in. Why are you keeping your kid on the court so long? So I was not happy about that. But I feel like whenever we watch Hawaii, Roar rarely has a good game. But he's like
But his
clearly
stats are
very good.
unbelievable,
He's
yeah.
a player of the year watch list, our favorite.
And the men's watch list is a legitimate
Yes,
watch list.
there's
It's
not 97 players
Yes.
on it. Roar clearly is good, but I feel like whenever we watch Hawaii, we must put out some just
anti-Rourke vibes.
terrible vibes because he's not great when we watch.
So I had a thought watching the first set. So it's going down to the wire. I think the first set was 28-26.
Mm-hmm.
There was a play that happened, and I thought this is the definition of volleyball IQ.
Oh, your favorite term.
My
Wow.
favorite term.
So is this like a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good thing.
Okay,
And it
great.
actually doesn't apply to the players. The Pepperdine coach was so on top of it. This was spectacular. So Pepperdine made a sub on the last rotation. They took a left side out and put a small player in. He was a passing left side for defense.
Jose Gomez.
No, it wasn't Gomez. Gomez was the starter. So they
Which
put,
I
they put
also was
somebody else
wondering
in.
why the heck is Gomez starting over Lamoureux?
I'll come back to Gomez.
Okay.
They left him in the front row as they rotated through.
mhm.
And it was, so it's 27-26. Pepperdine's going back to serve. And you can hear the announcers themselves are like, oh man, I think they've run out of subs.
Oh,
They
yeah.
had to leave, the short guy in the front. So the short left side rotates. I can't remember what his name rotates into the front row. And the announcers are losing their mind. They're like, oh my goodness, they got the short guy in the front row. Tread is definitely going to run
Not the short guy
the
in
right,
the front.
the run the right side. What an awful time to run out of subs. Pepperdine lines up. They serve the ball. And at the last second, Hartkey shifts over and blocks the right side for match point. And
Set
I will
point.
tell you for set point. And I will tell you that the coach understanding the flow of the game, what's happening, what the decision making is going to be, and to send Hartkey over there for that block was genius. That is understanding volleyball and making adjustments.
Adam was giddy.
Outstanding.
He was like, that was such a bait and switch. That was the greatest bait and switch. That bait and switch was the greatest thing I've ever seen. He was like running around. And I was like, wow, I haven't seen you this fired up about it.
I thought it was fantastic. So
So long.
kudos to the Pepperdine coach. Tread was flabbergasted that his right side got blocked.
Well, you were like,
on that
how did
ball.
he not notice?
Yeah,
It was a perfect pass.
So I thought that was the highlight of the match for me. Other than Gomez hitting maybe the worst serve I have
We're talking like
ever
ceiling.
seen. It was upper deck, and if it hadn't hit the stands, it would have
It got
kept
chopped
going.
up by some fans for sure. Like, and I mean the ceiling fans.
It was. There was so much backspin on that ball. It was unbelievable the worst missed serve I've ever
I've seen a lot of terrible missed serves recently. I
That
saw
one
a
was.
Scandici middle. Her serve didn't even make it to the 10th lane on her own side. Like it's been a rough
That
go
was
out here, you
wild.
guys. Why the heck was Gomez playing over Lamoureux?
I have no idea.
I was like, you guys.
Lamoureux must have missed a team meeting or something.
Yeah, I'm like, he must have been late or had some punishment of like, you're not going to play for the first 2 sets in Hawaii or something.
Yeah.
Because like he came in and they're like, oh, and he scores whatever amount of kills per set. He's hitting 380 on the season.
Yeah. I didn't understand.
Okay.
But there were a surprising number of rallies in that match, which was great to see on the men's side. Tread digs one-handed balls better than anybody else I've seen. He just takes up space and gets a hand on it.
He plays
consistently.
very good defense.
Yeah.
I will give him that. You know who else plays really good defense? Sakanoko. That man reads the game.
Impressive.
And the way he leads himself on his spin serve, I'm like,
dangerous.
Good grief. Wow.
But that match was just, it was entertainment. It was great volleyball and so entertaining. Harkey went off. There was a little banter back and forth. It was
when
great.
Pepperdine runs their middles, they are very good.
And when they pass well, and they passed well. Hawaii missed some serves at key times, but what a match. Very, very good.
We didn't get to see the second one, but that one, first one, loved it. To round this out, we had a 12-11 matchup with Santa Barbara and San Diego. Santa Barbara won in 5. So a lot of like very close ranked matchups this week.
Mm-hmm.
That probably won't affect much from a ranking perspective, but I'm thinking Loyola Chicago is going to take a bit of a dive. I don't know if Pepperdine Hawaii will move at all.
No, because they switched.
But do you think? I think Pepperdine might make a case for themselves to move up a spot,
maybe a spot, but nothing crazy.
Exciting stuff.
Very
regardless,
good. Very good week in NCAA men's.
On the MLV front, Indy Ignite continue to roll. They're
impressive.
at 13-2. We are still at only 2 teams with winning records here, everybody. This is insane. Atlanta and San Diego switched spots, so Atlanta's back to 4th. But we've got Omaha sitting in 6th at 7-9 after losing to, what did they lose to, Grand Rapids or something?
They looked lifeless.
I think Omaha really needed to take a page out of Adam's roster construction book from last week, because whatever they're doing, it's not working. They don't have that glue. They just tried to buy. This is what Adam was saying. They tried to buy the best players, and they just are not working together.
But it's also crazy to me because Brooke Nunneveller is generally that glue. Like, she is generally the engine on a team, and for whatever reason, the team just can't seem to rally around her. It's kind of miserable to watch. Like, it doesn't, and they got spanked in a couple of those sets.
I think the last set was 25-13 or something.
Not even.
Like, that's embarrassing.
You talk about watching the NCAA men's game and how exciting it is. This one was an absolute snooze fest.
I don't know what's going on, but the fact that in an entire league only 2 teams have winning records, like,
that's it. It almost seems like it shouldn't be mathematically possible.
Well, 2 with winning, 2 at 500, and then the rest are losing records. But still, like, Indy is just walking away with this, and if they pucker during playoffs or something, I don't know what to say.
I think Dallas has a real shot to win.
Indy-Dallas final.
Yes.
Because of the way it's lining up right now, we're going to have Indy playing Atlanta. Atlanta's having some scoring issues. And Dallas versus Orlando, which Orlando is dropping random matches. I believe, they got smacked by Dallas 3 straight.
Well, Abercrombie's not playing, right?
Why did you sign her to your team?
I did.
That sucked.
Got her for the long haul.
You know what? I finally figured out if Azani Taylor is going to get me 0 points, I'm going to sign her backup as my bench because at least one of them will be playing. Oh. Took me too long to figure that one out. On the love front, we have a new number 1.
We do.
Houston, baby. They're at 9-5 now. They took over the number 1 spot because Salt Lake has lost 4 in a row.
Yeah, they can't win.
Including getting swept by Nebraska of all teams.
That's tough. They should be able to win that match. But they have 4 players who are at least semi-injured.
Well, they're missing Alexa Gray. So that's a huge, huge hole for them.
Kojima was injured. Poulter was injured. I don't.
Poulter played against Nebraska though.
Yeah, but she's still coming off.
I don't know if Kojima
injury.
played, but I know Alexa Gray didn't. But like, we know how I feel about Ronnie Jones Perry. She's starting back to last year. Alexa Gray needs to come back because they were dominating.
Yeah.
And now they don't look so hot. And also, like, okay, I understand Alexa Gray is very good, but you're missing one player. Like, how have the wheels fallen off so drastically?
I mean, the linchpin of your team who scores all your points opens everybody else up. And without that,
trust me, she's good.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm assuming from what I've read that she's close to being back. So hopefully
lower
this
body
week,
injury.
Lower body injury. But I think her status has moved, has changed, her injured status. So we'll see.
Italian playoffs, all quarterfinal matches went 2 straight.
Busto
Adam
got
has something to
smashed.
say to the person who got pissed saying that how dare we say that Conegliano is going to crush Busto. Guess what they did? Busto won 1 set in the whole series, you guys. So now we've got Conegliano playing Novara and Scandici playing Milano in the semis. And for the men, the first quarterfinal has happened and all of the top seeds won except Trentino.
They
lost to
it.
Civitanova.
Is Micheletto back?
No.
Ugh.
He's got a stress fracture, I think.
That's tough.
So Perugia beat Monza, Verona beat Milano, Modena beat Piacenza, and then Civitanova beat Trentino. And Trentino also put them themselves in a tough position in Champions League because they beat Warsaw in 5. So they need to like win in Warsaw, or they've got to push it to 5 if they're going to lose.
And play a golden set. They're going to need to have a good week or season's over.
They've had a rough week. Las Palmas beat Montpellier in 4, and Reshov, I really struggle with that name, beat Roeselare from Belgium in 3. So the return matches are happening Tuesday through Thursday.
I'm looking forward to men's quarterfinals starting for real. I think that's going to be fun.
A lot happening.
A lot happening.
You will hear about what is going on, what matches to watch at the end, as always. But basically, Tuesday through Sunday, easy peasy. You'll have so much to watch. Okay, we got a really interesting question. And as we have been doing, we turned it into a segment. So here we go. The question was, can you go over the past 10 to 20 years of National Player of the Year in NCAA women's volleyball, rank them by how they did in college, then after college, say whether they met pro expectations, surpassed expectations, or fell below. We polled from 2010 to 2025. Full disclosure, I didn't really follow NCAA volleyball for a chunk of this time, so we were off doing our own thing. I was playing.
There were about 5 athletes who I was like, I don't really know who that is.
Well, that answers your question. That answers the question about what they did.
Yeah.
So as far as ranking their collegiate careers, we might be a little spotty, but
I ranked like top 8. There were 8 that I thought I could put in place. The interesting thing was looking past 2010, there were a bunch of banger athletes in that decade too, which was fun. Logan Tom was in there. Valuka was in there. You were in there. Fawcett was in there.
Megan Hodge
was in there. So that decade before was also very good. I know we started 2010, but I figured I'd give you.
I figured it was safe to stop at 2010. I was like, let's not dive any deeper. I don't need to be involved in this.
Well, let me give you my list, top to bottom.
Well, let's just say what the players are. So everybody, get out your pencils and paper.
Okay.
Because we gotta at least let you know who we're talking about here. So 2010, Carly Lloyd from Cal. Then we had Alex Jupiter at USC, Elena Bergsma at Oregon, Krista Van Sant at Washington, Micah Hancock, Penn State, Samantha Bricho, USC. That takes us to 2015. So do you want to just go through the 2010 to 2015 and say about their pro career and then we can move on to the next chunk, and then at the end we can. Okay, so Carly Lloyd.
Oh, surpassed. That's how I would rank that.
She won the Italian League her first year after graduation, beat my team in the final. I can't talk about it. I'll talk about it. It went 5 matches. It was 3 of 5. It went 5.
That was against Busto, right?
Yes. The last match was 17-15 in the 5th set.
That was the first year we were married.
Can't believe it. I was so mad.
Yes, you were.
Anyway, and then she went and played for some top teams. She stayed at Busto for a while. She won Champions League with Palmi Casalmaggiore. She played for Zazibashi. She was in Brazil for a bit. Like, she played for some very reputable clubs and like won with said clubs.
Yeah.
So I agree, surpassed.
Okay.
You probably know her from beach volleyball.
That's Alex? Oh, okay.
Yes, she is a taller black girl who played for France.
Got it. Her pro career was uninspired based off
No, she
what
played
I
like
could.
1 year for Le Canet.
So, and then she went to the beach. So,
And wasn't good on the beach, no offense.
Yeah. Below.
I put below as well. Okay, Elena Bergsma.
I don't know who that is.
Okay, I played against her my second season in Brazil. She played for Minas.
What, did she play or was she on the bench?
She played.
Yeah,
wasn't very good.
I don't remember her.
And then she played for like, I want to say a season in China, a season in Korea, and then her career was over. So I said below.
Yeah, below.
Krista Van Sant.
Again, I didn't know who that was.
She played like 2 years and then started coaching. So I also said below. Micah Hancock.
Above. Like, she's unreal.
Okay, but like her pro career.
What, do you include national team on the pro career?
See, that's what I was curious about. Because if we're including national team, I'm going to say surpassed. If we're not, then I'm going to say she met my expectations. Because she has, if you look at her body of work, she has never played for like a top team. She's played in good leagues for very mid-level teams in those leagues.
National team should count. But I also think professionally, it's a little more challenging for setters and liberos because you have the foreign player rule. And normally those really good teams will pick up the setters and the liberos from their own country so they can pick up hitters. So in her case, I'm not sure her playing for mid-range clubs.
Well, Carly Lloyd played for top clubs.
I mean, yes. Maybe her agent wasn't as good.
She played for like Monza in Italy. And then she played for a few Polish teams, not the best ones.
Yeah.
I will say, okay, if you're counting national team, surpassed. If not, then she met them.
Okay, I think that's fair. I would personally probably count national team for her. So I would say I bet looking out after college, she exceeded expectations.
We disagree.
Okay.
In 2015, Samantha Briccio, I played against her when she played for Conegliano. I said surpassed because she has played for some very good club teams. And I would say it is difficult to do that if your national team doesn't perform well. And she's Mexican. And the fact that she has gotten opportunities and looks from top club teams, I think speaks volumes. So I'm going to say surpass.
I think that logic is right. You automatically get a couple points if you play for a great country.
Absolutely. Like these American players who play for the U.S. national team, like they have an advantage already because the national team is so good and they are seen by everybody.
Yeah.
Mexico does not.
Yeah.
So
I think that's fair.
Okay, so the next 5 are 2016 Sarah Wilhite, Minnesota. 2017 and 18 Catherine Plummer, Stanford. 2019 Yosiana Presley from Baylor. Spring 2021 was Madison Lilly
I didn't count that
from
one.
Kentucky. As a
Dana Recchi.
purist, I wouldn't count that one, but
Dana Recchi was the player of the year that year.
so do you count Kentucky's national championship in the spring of 21?
Yeah, I mean they won.
Well, if you're going to count it, then you have to count player of the year.
Okay, fair enough.
I personally put an asterisk next to that national championship, but that's just me. Sarah Wilhite, I feel like you're just going to you're reading my answers right now and you're just going to copy me. So
Yeah, I don't know enough about her.
okay, I say below. Here's her history.
Okay.
So right out of college, she played for Busto Arsizio, then went to Stuttgart, Sesi Bauru in Brazil, played for a weaker team in Turkey, Red Rockets in Japan, and another weak team in Turkey before ending up in Omaha.
So basically, you played for Busto 1 year.
Again,
when they
I
were
played
down.
against her
Yeah.
when she was in Busto. She didn't play.
Yeah, fair enough.
But there are certain Italian clubs that always seem to snatch young American players. Busto is one of them. Milano always ends up taking a couple of young ones.
Yeah.
Candici.
I think that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment.
But I mean, after that, in my opinion, didn't really do much.
Yeah.
So for me, particularly if you're an outside hitter national player of the year, we're looking national team here. We're looking like club teams, particularly if you're an American.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's a good assessment.
So I put below.
I can get behind that.
Catherine Plummer.
I want to say met expectations, with the caveat that if her next 2 seasons are good, it would be an exceed.
Okay, so she's played for Monza, the Denso Aribis in Japan, Conegliano for a couple seasons, 3 seasons, and then Izazibashi. So she's played for some very good clubs.
She's not always starting.
Not always starting. I personally think she has met expectations.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm not like countering you. I'm just saying for me, she met expectations.
I think also, again, there's a bit of a history there, some injury, some personal loss there. So I'm curious. I'm going to say met expectations, but I'm curious to see what her next couple years look like. Her story is still being written.
Yeah, I mean, she's still pretty young.
Yeah.
All right, Josiana Presley played for Mulhouse in France right after college and then went to the Atlanta Vibe, and that's all I know.
Yeah, it's definitely below expectations. I remember her watching her in that season where she won Player of the Year for Baylor, and watching her was so much fun. She jumped so well. She was dynamic. But you could see.
But they came out of nowhere.
No,
it was like Baylor's 1 year.
Totally.
And let's be real. If Catherine Plummer hadn't gotten injured that year and had fulfilled the quota for the requisite number of matches to be considered, she would have won Player of the Year again.
Agreed. But in watching her in that stretch, you could see that there was potential there for her to go on and have a career if she wanted it.
I didn't think she was going to have one. Below expectations, even though I didn't think she was going to have much of a career.
I agree it was below expectations. I'm just saying it was impressive to watch her on that run.
And then Madison Lilly played for Potsdam in Germany and then went to Béziers in France and then went to coaching.
Below expectations.
Below.
Not that there's anything wrong with coaching.
There's nothing wrong with coaching, but given how highly people speak about her collegiate career, didn't do anything after. And the most recent now, in 2021, we had Dana Retke from Wisconsin, 22, Logan Eggleston from Texas, 23, Sarah Franklin from Wisconsin, and then the last 2 were Olivia Babcock from Pitt.
I think Dana Retke has exceeded expectations.
I agree. Now, she's played a few years at Milano and then Izazibashi, but I will say to take those types of contracts as a foreign middle says a lot.
Totally.
It is very hard to get signed to those really strong clubs as a middle because a lot of those budgets, and we've talked about in the past, go to larger point scorers.
Yeah.
So the fact that she has been able to play at that level as a foreign middle, I think she has exceeded expectations.
100% agree with that.
Logan Eggleston has played a couple seasons for Galatasaray in Turkey and then went to Love. For me, it's below.
Yeah, Love just feels like settling.
And then Sarah Franklin obviously went to Love right out of college and now is at Scandicci. She just signed with Ankara in Turkey for next year. For me, she has met expectations.
Yes, I agree. I think leaving the season that she's had, she's got some playing time. I would agree with that assessment.
And it remains to be seen for Olivia Babcock. So, in building off of that question, as we said earlier, we are not super familiar with a lot of these athletes' collegiate careers. So, we're just going to kind of break down the ones that we think are top that we know. So, if we don't say your player's name, don't come at us because maybe we didn't watch them in college, okay?
So I put a list of 8 together in order. And it was, I thought about this exercise in terms of how good they were, period, but also how much better than their peers they were. So I kind of used 2 different criteria because you have a couple different positions here. I used that as my kind of benchmark to pick that.
Okay, so my criteria is probably going to be different than yours because I think of it as like how many people have done what you've done and did you win?
Okay. It's our lists are going to be different.
Our order is going to be different.
Okay. Do you want me to start?
Sure.
I have Olivia Babcock at the top of the list.
No.
Okay.
Catherine Plummer. She won 3 national championships. She would have been a 3-time National Player of the Year if she hadn't gotten injured her senior season. Where she was on track to be the only 3-time National Player of the Year and a 4-time first-team All-American and win 3 national championships. That's the top for me.
But she didn't.
Okay, so she won Player of the Year twice. You know how many people have done that? Not many.
Okay. Well, I had her a second.
Well, Olivia Babcock hasn't won anything. We all know that I'm an Olivia Babcock fan. She has not won.
Okay. So who is your 2?
Dana Retke. She is the only 5-time first-team All-American ever.
You hate that?
I hate it. I definitely think that there needs to be an asterisk next to it because not everybody got to play 5 years. But there's something to be said for being a 5-time first-team All-American.
I mean, your argument is pretty compelling.
And she won in 2021.
Okay. Who's your 3?
Micah Hancock.
I had Micah Hancock at 3 as well.
Okay, because she won a couple.
Who was after that?
But I honestly don't really care.
I had Dana Retke and then Sarah Franklin.
I'd probably put Eggleston above Franklin.
Really?
I would probably put Eggleston above Franklin because Eggleston won and she was at Texas all 4 years. Franklin transferred into Wisconsin from Michigan State after they won.
From a performance standpoint in college, who do you think was better or had a bigger impact for their team?
Well, I don't like that question because they set Franklin almost every single ball versus like Eggleston played on a more balanced team. She can't be punished for that.
I see your argument. I thought Sarah Franklin carried more of a load and was more valuable to her team in that stretch.
I think both arguments are valid. Those reasons are just why I would put Eggleston above her.
Fair.
And then I would honestly probably put Babcock up there because, I mean, if you want to compare similar situations, her situation is similar to Franklin's, except she's making the Final Four every year and arguably has worse pieces around her, especially this past year.
If Babcock wins next year, where does she go on this list for you?
Maybe 3rd.
Ahead of Mike Hancock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair enough. And to round out my list, as I didn't know many other people, I had Carly Lloyd and then Presley.
Don't put Presley on the list at all. I'm not letting you do that. She does not belong on that list. Play. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But I could make an argument for Carly Lloyd because Cal was never the same after she graduated. And I also have PTSD because I played my final college match against Cal and lost to them in the regional final. And she was a freshman. Honestly, I really liked this question.
Great question.
It was very interesting. It was cool to dive into these players' careers. And, I'm sad that I kind of went dark on NCAA volleyball there for a while in the middle years, the early 2010s. But yeah, this was fun.
Very fun. All right. So for our game this week, we are going to do a little confirm or deny. Okay, so I will make statements.
I
and
had no
you-
idea what we were getting into right now. It's
Well,
always a surprise for me too.
Yes, this is the fun part for me. So I will make a statement, and you will either confirm or deny it. With a little bit of justification, not just a yes or no answer.
Okay.
So we're gonna start actually, and we have 2 questions about Omaha MLV. Confirm or deny Omaha's coach will still be with them next season, regardless of how this season finishes.
Deny. This is the absolute worst Omaha has done. They've been at the top the last 2 seasons. Your organization was one of the major proponents or reasons that this league switched to MLV, and now you snatched up all these players, and now you're going to be one of the worst teams. Like, that's a bad look for the front office. So I think they're going to get rid of him because that's a really bad look.
I agree. And he has made comments about, the team's not as good as they thought they were on paper and things like he's thrown a little shade at the management group of that one based off how they've played. And it doesn't look like they're going to make the playoffs right now. So, yeah, I agree. I think they're going to be finding a new coach for next year.
Bird Coon is just down in Atlanta, just like
ripping it up.
Smirking.
Okay, next question. Omaha will finish outside of the top 4, missing the playoffs this year.
Confirm. We were iffy at the beginning of the season, but we were like, no, they're going to figure it out. They're going to find their rhythm, blah, blah, blah. They're not finding their rhythm. This is not going well. So I don't think they're going to make playoffs.
I would confirm that one as well. I think they're going to be on the outside looking in. Confirm or deny Salt Lake will consistently return to the win column after Alexa Gray comes back from injury.
Confirm. I think she's very good, and I think her presence probably puts Casanova, the other left side, etc., like at ease, and not maybe it makes them feel not as much pressure. So depending on how bad her injury was, which let's assume that if she's playing, it's not that bad and she's fine, then I'll say yes, confirm they'll start winning again.
I will confirm that as well. I think they'll go at least 500 down the stretch with her, which will be good enough to kind of.
Does everybody make playoffs again?
I think so. Confirm or deny Hawaii will hand UCLA their first loss this week.
They're playing in Hawaii, I believe.
I think you're right.
This is a hard question. Oh, I'm going to say deny.
I'm going to confirm this.
I think UCLA will turn it up. They are hungry after not winning last year. They're playing really well. I think that the environment will fuel them even more. And I want to say they've learned from last season with their complacent starts, etc.
I think Hawaii matches up well against UCLA. I'm not saying they're better than them, but you're going to have tread against Zach Rama. And
Zach Rama, that's fine. Zach Rama elevates. It's insane. He's like on a ladder.
I'm really looking forward to that game. I think Hawaii can get a win here. Conegliano will win its 8th league title in a row this year.
Confirm. I think they started out the season slow, but I think they got back on track. I know I picked Vakif to beat them in Champions League, but I think they will win the Italian League.
I'm going to deny this. I think there's going to be a new league champion this year.
Ooh.
I think Scandici will win.
I'm not sure.
Last question. Confirm or deny there will be no Italian team as the winner of Champions League for both men and women?
Deny. I think I already predicted last week that Fenerbahce or Vakif will win the women's side, but I think, Perugia, Civitanova are on opposite sides of the bracket. Granted, Civitanova has to play Zavirtsit, but there is a chance that Trentino wins, and then one of them in Perugia, they could match up in the semi. So I think there are enough opportunities for an Italian men's team to win.
I'm going to deny that as well. I think one one of the Champions Leagues will be won by an Italian team. I agree. There's just too many odds for that to happen, both on the men and the women. I know that you're convinced that it's going to be.
Well, I was completely
Turkey
wrong
and
last year, and I'll probably be completely wrong again, but it's fun to speculate.
Yeah, that's confirm and deny this week. I liked your answers. That's a lot of fun.
Good job, Adam.
Okay, let's get into some listener questions. The first one is for you. It is a build off of, it's a fun one.
Okay.
It's a build off of your roster construction one
Okay.
from last week.
Yeah.
The person said, okay, so Adam's 16U team will be assembled by athleticism, then attitude, then skill.
Yeah.
Where does height fit in?
When I think of athleticism, height is kind of attached to that. Like
There's
how
a lot of tall people who are very unathletic.
Yeah. So you're looking at, how well do they jump? How high do they touch? Height would definitely come into play in that first category for me. I kind of include that in athleticism.
Would you take a super tall kid who is not athletic at all? Are you one of those people that think that you can just make athletes out of nothing?
Definitely not. However, if their attitude is good and they're willing to put the work in, I would be apt to give them a shot. And, tall and unathletic, maybe a middle. If he's smart.
No shade to the middles out there.
No. But you can narrow in the focus, right? So maybe you're not a super attacking middle, but maybe you could be a good blocker. Good eye work, things like that. If I had a kid like that who really wanted to play, who was very coachable and worked hard, I'd keep him in the gym because that's, again, as we discussed, my soft spot.
Part B is, so how do you fix the Leafs?
10 years drafting.
He
This is,
says this every year, you guys. Oh, we're in a rebuild.
but honestly, the Leafs issue, in my opinion, come down to this roster construction. You had too many players of the same type. You had skilled
Non-winners.
Well, there is that, but you had skilled guys who weren't willing to go into the dirty areas, who couldn't play when the ice shrunk in the playoffs. Like, you need a couple of them, but then you need a couple guys around that who are willing to do the dirty work and not just third liners. So, I mean, the Leafs are sunk for the next decade. They got to draft a few new players. They don't have any draft capital. Nobody wants to play in Toronto. It's going to be bleak.
All right, moving on. Question 2. Are there any collegiate players you guys expect or want to see playing for the US VNL team, with the exception of Babcock? This person couldn't think of anybody who could make the jump right now except maybe Stafford.
I would also like to see Andy Jackson. I want to get her out of that environment. I want to see, her blocking is not going to be up to snuff at that level, but it would be interesting to see how she attacks the slide in those rotations. Could she be a factor there? What does it look like if they run her in front of the setter? I would be curious to see that maybe in a week 1 or against a couple teams. That's the first name that pops into my head.
Andy Jackson popped into my head too. I'm trying to think if I agree if Stafford could make the jump right now. I'm not sure.
I think it would be worth seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth a try. But even a Kennedy Martin, I don't think
Her
she's
all around
ready yet.
game is not good enough.
She's a good attacker, but her other skills are not
It would be
good
interesting
enough.
to watch her attack against an international block, but she'd get tipped every ball and
Stitchak style.
yeah.
No, I don't know.
Maybe a setter.
Honestly, I would be curious to see Izzy Stark, but she's been out for so long.
I would have picked Izzy Stark.
If she
as
had
well.
played the
Yeah.
whole NCAA season, she might be on my list. But you haven't played in a match since September, August.
Yeah.
Mm,
Any liberos?
no, I thought the NCAA liberos were weaker this year.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm I don't think that there are many that are ready right now. Okay, question 3. I heard a 2024 interview with Karch Karai, in which he addressed spin serving in the U.S. women's gym. He said that because of lack of consistency and accuracy, at one point he mandated that everybody exclusively float serve. He also cited wear and tear as part of his rationale for discouraging spin serving. Do you think his approach still contributes to USA's conservative serving compared to international leagues? Do you anticipate more aggressive serving and spin serving on Team USA now that he's no longer the head coach? Who do you think has a good enough spin serve?
Here's the thing. I hear that comment and I immediately think he just didn't think anybody had an effective enough spin serve.
I feel like, yeah, that's like a very PC answer to be like, nobody was good enough.
Yeah, because think about it. If you have to be hitting the snot out of the ball with good control, moving across into seams to cause trouble. I mean, you and I both passed, and I would rather pass a spin serve than a float serve.
100%.
There are very few, and again, I didn't play internationally, so don't come at me with that, but I'm just saying in general, when you're at a level, there are very few players who can blow you up.
Well, and it's
with a
different on
spin
the
serve.
in the men's game
Sure.
and the women's game. Like the men's game, the spin serves are moving so fast. But even like for me, when I saw somebody coming to spin serve, I'm like, oh, perfect.
Yeah. And again, you have Karch isn't incorrect, less control. Like if you can hit flat float serves into seams in between players, move them around, you're not necessarily getting aces, but you're getting out of system balls or passes behind the attack line. To me, this sounds like, hey, the numbers support us float serving. I'm going to break it to you guys as gently as possible without telling you you're not good enough spin servers to do it. That's how I read that.
But I also think, and I don't know if this is fact, but kind of building off of something that we said last week, I think a lot of coaches in North America at like the club and university levels punish people for missing. So a spin server starts to feel like a little nervous to really go for it if they're going to get punished. And I can say, like, overseas, when I would play professionally, it was just like all the discourse always was, Sarah, you have a green light, like do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like hit the crap out of the ball. Like we don't care if you miss. And the freedom you feel being given that green light is incredible. So I don't know if it's just been like pounded into North American athletes' heads or American athletes' heads that if you're going to spin serve, you need to get like 9 out of 10 in.
Yeah.
And then they're like taking stuff off of it. And maybe that is why we've seen easier serving in the USA gym compared to international, not just from a spin serving perspective, but float serving as well. I think it would be interesting to explore that as a reason why the US serving is so much easier. Who do I think?
Who would you give the green
could-
light to?
Well, I'm confused why Olivia Babcock put her spin serve away because honestly, it's better than the float serve she's doing.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'm just like, okay, I would just be like, okay, forget your float serve, just go back to it.
I'm wondering if that was a legitimate wear and tear issue because she hit a ton of balls in college. What about like Micah Hancock?
Micah Hancock's spin serve, I think, is really good. I think she does a really good job of creating that side spin to get
Yeah.
it to move, and being a lefty serving from 5, that messes so many people up. So I would give, for sure, the green light to her. I think she has a really good serve. I would say Olivia Babcock. If Kennedy Martin ever went, like, the serve that she has is kind of a hybrid that she was using this past season. I really like that for her. And her serve got so much more aggressive. So I would give her the green light to do that one, which is like an in-between.
But I think that's it. You're not giving it to Skinner. You're not giving it to Franklin. You're not giving it to Plummer. You're not giving it to Eggleston. None of the middles, I don't think.
There's so many middles that are spin serving. Let's not kid ourselves. Yeah.
The other thing I will say about having a spin serve is it can help just throw off the rhythm of the passer if you're not seeing the same thing. To me, I think talking women's game specifically, 4 good float servers, 2 spin servers who have the green light, like to me, that's kind of the best ratio in terms of, aggressiveness, ability to make errors, changing up the pace for the passers. That's what I would generally shoot for. Again, you make adjustments based off the talent you have on the roster. If you've got 3 great spin servers, go for it. But I think that's maybe realistic for the players we see coming down the pipeline.
Question 4. If Jordan Larson had gone and played sand after college instead of pro or national team, how would she have done? She has all the tools to be a great sand player. I agree. I think she would have done exceptionally well especially at the time that she graduated. I think if the right person had been tasked with coaching her and made her a defender instead of a blocker, I think she would have revolutionized the
That
beach
position.
game and that position, because we're seeing that now.
Yeah.
But like back then, like when she graduated, the beach defenders we were seeing were like 5'7".
Yeah.
Okay, can you imagine in 2008 or whatever, like a 6'2" defender coming out? Like people would have lost it.
Yeah.
And she was good enough because the way that she reads the game, she's long, so like she could cover the court well. Her vision, which we're seeing now when she's like almost 40, able to score against much younger competition without being able to honestly get off the ground that well anymore. Like I think she would have changed the game because it's only been in the last couple cycles,
Quad and a half.
that
quads.
we've seen 6 foot plus defenders
Yeah.
on the women's side.
Yeah.
So I think she would have been incredible.
Would have cost her a couple zeros on her salary from what she made playing indoor, but
Yeah. And no big deal. Question 5. Why do I routinely hear or read from US-based media people who have followed pro volleyball for a long time say that they want or wish the top NCAA players to go to Italy or wherever to play? I understand wanting to see people play against the best competition, but if a person wants the US leagues to be top level, then wouldn't they want the best players to stay and build up the talent here? Am I misunderstanding the intent of others when they say this, or are they just okay with pro volleyball here looking the same way MLS is in the soccer world? I think they're two completely different things.
and it comes down to incentives.
Well, no, I think the discussion of like building athletes is a completely different discourse than wanting a pro league in the US to succeed or not. Do you know what I mean? And like, quite frankly, if you take the top NCAA players and just immediately filter them into the US pro league pipeline, they're not going to get better because you need other top athletes from around the world to come to this league to build the level, to make the NCAA talent better. And quite frankly, nobody knows who top NCAA players are if you go to Turkey or Japan or Italy or wherever. They don't know. So those top players would never be incentivized to come play in the US with top NCAA players because they'd be like, who is this? Those NCAA players that are top need to go overseas, get better, improve, make a name for themselves, and then come back. Then players know who they are because they've already made a name for themselves and gotten good going overseas, playing against those top players, and then the league can grow. In my opinion, that's how I see it.
You're not wrong. You also have to realize the people who are saying you should go overseas and play in Italy are thinking about the 2028 Olympics, the 2030 Olympics.
Well, it depends what your goals are. Like if you don't want to play national team, if you want to explore pro volleyball in a comfortable environment, stay here.
Yeah, but I'm saying the media people who are saying that
Okay.
they're thinking about how is the U.S. national team going to be.
Are we considered media people?
Probably.
Oh,
I think.
wow.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's arrogant. I say that only because that's generally our take. Is
like
go
we're just
play
two
in
people
Italy.
sitting on a couch here.
Leagues take forever to develop. It's going to be a slow burn to catch up to Italy. They have more money. They have more establishments. They have a different system. You know, those two things don't have to be mutually exclusive. Again, like you said, you may lose them for 3 or 4 years, but then they can come back if they want to. Love managed to get Gong to come play here. She's a up and coming star that
but
everybody
honestly,
knows.
who doesn't make those decisions?
Correct.
Her pro team and the government make those decisions for her. She had no say in whether she came here or not.
Right. But my point was, you have to find other ways to attract top talent to keep coming in, whether that's money, whether that's lifestyle, whether that's whatever. And it's not just about keeping the homegrown talent here. It's about luring other top talent to come play, however you're going to do that. And that's going to take time.
Because I'll say it again, you're not going to make the U.S. Pro Leagues a top league by just making the version 2.0 of the NCAA.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, this question is from a completely different person. but I thought it was an appropriate part B
Okay.
to this other question that we just answered. So which of the U.S. players currently playing for Love or MLV do you think would benefit most from playing pro overseas? And are we killing our hopes for a medal in LA by having so many U.S. players in the U.S. pro leagues?
I mean, Jordan Thompson's the first person that comes to mind because she's your front runner for your starting opposite.
I know she's already played overseas, but like, go back.
But think about it. This is the equivalent of an NBA player taking 2 seasons and playing in the G League.
Or like LeBron James being like, you know what? I'm going to go play a season in Russia.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
She's the first one.
But the Russian league is pretty good. It's just not the NBA. Maddie Skinner.
Maddie Skinner's the
Logan
next one.
Eggleston.
Anybody who is thinking about being a starter for the Olympics, in my opinion, should be overseas.
I'm even like Micah Hancock, go back. I know you're like in your 30s now, but like if you're going to make a run, like do it right. You know what I mean?
I'm actually really curious how long those people's contracts are and if the 2 years leading into the Olympics they play overseas. No, you don't
I'd
think
be
so?
shocked.
Are there any middles?
Well, you love Tia Jimerson. Amber Iged, go back. Play
Yeah.
a whole season in Italy. Don't fill in for an injury.
Yeah.
Like seriously, her for sure.
I think Fairbanks
Fairbanks
could actually benefit from playing overseas. They play volleyball differently. I know that first year that I went overseas with you and, chatted with the Italian coaches and like understood the system, what they were trying to do. They think about the game differently. It opened up my mind to other possibilities, to other ways to think, to approach the game. For me, it was transformative in how I looked at volleyball.
Well, even playing
And-
in so many countries for me was transformative because like you have your identity as a player and what you're good at and the style that you've grown up with and whatever. But like everywhere you go, if you're like open enough to it, you take pieces of that style with you. And at the end, you're just like this interesting mosaic of just like everywhere you've been and you've like taken all these pieces that have made you a much more well-rounded and creative athlete. And if there's no other reason, like do it to just like see what you can add to your game.
Yeah. So I think Fairbanks is another one that pops into my head. That's a good question.
Yeah. Well, the part 2 of that question was, are we doing ourselves a disservice and ruining the medal hopes?
I think currently probably your top players. I think the front runners are currently in Europe.
Well, you've got like Retke, you've got
Plummer.
Agbagu, you've got Plummer and Franklin and Skinner all playing overseas.
And then you have a couple of those other players that we started looking at.
Kendall Kipp.
Kendall Kipp, Ruddens is playing over there. You have enough of the athletes there. I think we highlighted a couple who I think, again, would be beneficial, but lots of your potential starters are already playing there. So we're talking maybe 4, 5, or 6% increase in medal opportunity, I think, if those players are playing overseas that we mentioned. But again, I think a lot of them kind of see the writing on the wall and know what they have to do if they want to be competitive in 2028.
Do they though?
I mean, they've chosen to go overseas when they don't have to.
Oh, I thought you meant
That-
the ones that are staying in the
No.
love.
The ones who chose to go overseas.
All right, question 6. I'm a setter and my club coach used to crash out when I would set the middle attacker on a ball that I had to back up to get, setting a 31 or a push 1 from zone 2. It felt natural to reverse the flow and get the middle involved from this position, and it was relatively successful. However, my coach absolutely despised it regardless of the outcome, but never explained to me why. Oh, first of all, coaching error 101. I feel like especially with like back when we were kids, it was just like the coach says something and you just say sure and you don't ask questions. But I feel like athletes have evolved and like this new generation very much benefits from hearing why,
Yeah.
which is not a bad thing
Not
at
at all.
all. Is this a principle you guys believe in or is it just bad coaching?
It's bad coaching.
Okay. I will say, and I don't know your coach at all. This is just a shot in the dark that I'm taking here. A lot of like setting 101 when you're coaching younger athletes in club or whatever, like a lot of coaches are like do not set the middle unless you see them, which is a really good principle when people are young and getting started, because you want to train your setters to be able to set a fast offense properly, and you want your middles to get appropriate timing. For young athletes, saying like don't set your middle unless you see them, it serves its purpose. It makes a lot of sense. I am wondering if this coach was like dying on that mountain, and when you were backing up to zone 2, you probably weren't able to see your middle, and he was just like, absolutely not.
You know, the other thing I can think of about this is I think when you're younger, a lot of coaches don't want the setters falling out of their sets, specifically to the middle. It slows it down, a little harder to pinpoint. So maybe that was the reason, but
I think if you're executing it fine, I'm like, yeah.
yeah, I am too. And then strategically, the other thing too is you have to think about, you know, if your setter's being pulled to 2, the middle has to take a step that way, you know, because the right side set becomes very quick, or the setter's front row and could potentially dump. Pushing the middle out, you know, forces the middle to stay, open some things up. If they don't, you have a clean swing. Like, there are strategic reasons that you would potentially run a push in that situation as well, at least for me personally, you know, what I think. So again, coaches have all different levels of experience and philosophies depending on who they learn from. So, you know, it might have just been one of those, hey, I was told growing up never to do this.
All right, question 7. You talk a lot about height limiting your options, which is true, but there are also athletes that overcome those limitations. Yes,
Totally.
we have talked about them. Yes. For example, Gabi at 5'11" is one of the best players in the world.
And she's a 1 in a million player.
Yes, we've talked about Gabi, Ishikawa, Wada, like you name it. That was a general statement. Anyway, can you comment on how the other skills she developed to get there? Yes, height generally helps. There are very talented players who are not really tall. Gabi jumps really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ishikawa, they run a very fast offense to open up seams in the block. Bigger does not always equal better. There are ways that smaller players can be successful. Last week we were talking about Leketer member Mena and how she probably wouldn't make the national team. Smaller players can become a liability on the block and on a defensive end of things if they're not getting off the ground super fast. Like, it's just not ideal. But as far as a smaller athlete, if you're jumping well, like the height that you touch is way more important when you're attacking than how tall you are.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is it's about how high you're playing over the net. What are the angles that you can hit that really matters? And Gabi skies, and she's got great angles, and she's got
good vision,
amazing vision. So,
and like Ishikawa, her setters are able to, because like if you watch Ishikawa playing for Novara,
not the best.
It's not the same Ishikawa we're seeing playing for Japan. Why? Because the setters because the setters aren't running that speed of offense to give her those openings and those broken blocks. She's still passing really well. She's still reading the game defensively incredibly well. Her serve, whatever. There are ways that smaller players can be incredibly effective, you know, and Gabi has all of the tools from a ball handling perspective, jumping ability,
personality, work ethic.
Yeah.
Like all of the intangibles she also has. You know.
Like if you are a smaller player and you're able to jump and touch high offensively, who cares?
Yeah.
The only thing that I can see being a potential issue is blocking. If you're a small setter, there are lots of small setters, but like deliver a fast offense, deliver a precise ball. Like, you don't have to be the tallest player in the gym to get looks unless your coach is biased.
Yeah. The thing for the small players is make it impossible for your coach to take you off the floor. Like, that's the goal. The passing is so good that you need to stay defensively. You turn so many more points that your blocking isn't necessarily, you know, a liability or it washes out. Like, we're not saying small players can't play. It's just statistically speaking, the ones that make it to the national team have a general profile.
Okay, last question. As Alexa Gray approaches her last possible Olympic chances, do you think Canada should stick with Johnson and Mitrovic on the outside or expose young outsides like Guzin and Taylor DeBoer that's currently at Illinois?
You play who's the best and whoever's playing better. I mean, I thought Guzin came in and did a really good job in the last VNL. I don't think any of those left sides are shoo-ins to start and or play. This for me is completely merit-based in terms of who's playing better on that day. I don't think you have any untouchables at this point. As always, we appreciate the questions, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, email. We love interacting in this way and chat volleyball. So thanks for all of your questions. All right, looking forward, there's just so much going on right now. So here's a few things to take a look at. Tuesday through Thursday, Champions League on Eurovolley.tv. Men are playing, women are playing.
Yeah, both men and women.
You can watch Champions League all week. So check out those matches, follow your favorite teams. All of the matches should be pretty good. Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, we have MLV Indy versus Orlando. That'll be on ROKU. Orlando needs to kind of find it here. Indy's cruising, so I think that will be a good match. Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, NCAA men, Lindenwood versus our boys at McKendree. Good luck, boys. We'll be cheering for you.
We will never forget.
Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern, Love Atlanta versus Houston. That's at Victory Plus. Now, Sunday at 1 a.m. Eastern, NCAA men's UCLA versus Hawai'i. Probably won't be up for that one, but definitely watch the replay. Hawai'i had an awesome game against Pepperdine, which we mentioned. This one should also be fantastic. So that might be the match of the week. And then Saturday and Sunday, Italian women's semifinal match 1 and men's quarterfinals match 2. I mean, we could do nothing this week but watch volleyball, and it would be amazing. Not going to happen for us, but there's just so much to choose from.
That concludes this week's episode of Volley Talk. There's always something shaking in the volleyball world, and we hope you enjoyed this little fix. Be sure to follow the show so you don't miss any updates, and we'd be so grateful if you leave us a 5-star review. You can also find us on Instagram at volleytalk_podcast. If you have a topic you'd like us to discuss, you can reach out on Instagram or at info@sarahpavin.com. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll be back next week.